not playing Freebird. Mostly because I don't know how to play Freebird, but also because I'm not playing Freebird. I know, you're joking. Oh, right. I can't play all these songs you're asking me to play because then I'll get in trouble with YouTube copyright. Brett, Brett. Got to spit hot fire over this beat. Yeah, I was gonna give it a couple minutes for people to show up. And probably me to get more coffee. What songs are in the public domain now? Happy Birthday, I think still is. I think they just, was it Sony? Capital? Someone tried to actually copyright it, but I think it failed because that shit's stupid. Oh yeah, no, the Star Wars Overture. I think Disney owns. That's totally in the public domain. Certain cartoons from Disney are in the public domain. What songs are in public domain? I mean, a shit ton of just like super old things like classical music is in the public domain. A lot of jazz standards are in the public domain. Probably a lot of blues standards are in the public domain because everyone just plagiarized the fuck out of them. What else? I don't know. There's also that group of there's two guys who formulated billions or trillions of chord progressions, and they put those in the public domain. So, in an effort to fight stupid ass copyright lawsuits, which is genius, and I hope it gets traction. Okay, I'm gonna go get a little bit more coffee. When I come back, we will start. Dance Macabre probably is. If anyone has any suggestions of what to read, let me know. All right. Enough of that. The Cat Who Wrote It just come out, and that is an older recording. Still holds up, but definitely not my best work, but I'm glad that one was out. I think I sent that one over because I was sick and I couldn't record that week and I just wanted to do something. The Rat Who Code. Okay, let's go to the Creepypasta subreddit and see what's up. The Traveling Murder Show. I did look at this one. It's an Icon Pasta story, but it's long. Yeah, too long. Way too long. Oh my god, too long. We'll be here all day. Happy birthday, Slender Girl. Oh boy. This is not a narration. This is not a narration. This is a creepypasta. Stop calling things narrations when they're not narrations. This is too short. This is just some dude's trip. You have to look at those. Oh god. I just read the. Damn it. It's too short. I just like in the very first sentence is the word Fortnite, and that's funny to me. It's also a fucking block paragraph, so I'm not doing that. God, everything's a fucking series now. Is this decent? Ugh, God. Okay, let's do this. Block paragraph. All right, this is Urban Legends by B. Kelly1412 on the Creepypasta subreddit. Kenny's. Oh, right. Sorry. Zoom in. That is. Oops. I forget it's a thing. Okay. I can't say I was ever a good kid. Growing up in the South, I lived in a little rural town. I was always causing trouble, causing teachers to dislike me, throwing things at their cars. I had a couple of friends. My best friend's name was Tony. Tony and I shared a special bond. We had been best friends since second grade. I was known for telling scary stories or urban legends. I was essentially telling lies to give myself some attention. Well, at least you're honest about it. I became known as a boy who cried wolf type. This is what I became known for. Okay. But it's also one of my biggest regrets. All right. So, bit of front loading here. What story are you going to tell that ruins something in your life or someone else's life? Like I said previously, I would always tell urban legends. You don't need to say that. We already know because it was literally one paragraph ago. I would usually lie and say that I was at the forefront of all these tall tales, breaking a rule of urban legends. I would tell all kinds of stories. The stories range from being chased by a murderous criminal, finding a haunted house in an abandoned town, or meeting the town's famous wailing man. A little hokey, but this is a thing that kids do. You just make shit up to tell stories. That's a thing. That's a thing. Okay, here we go. So, block paragraph. This could be 2, possibly 3. During the summer of my junior year of high school, my friends and I were really into urban exploration and bonfires. My group of friends and I decided to host a bonfire deep in the woods one hot, humid July night. We set up around 11:30 and began to tell stories around the fire. Junior year of high school? Yeah, I suppose that's old enough. James, man, tell us one of your famous stories, Tony said, stoking the epic weed. Tony says to me, well, which one do you want to hear? I reply, slightly sarcastically. The one you always tell, the one with the wailing man. Before I continue with this story, I'll give you some details on the wailing man. No, just tell the story in your story. You don't need to. Okay. In our town, he is an urban legend about a human-like creature that is known for targeting kids. So he's a boogeyman. All right. People say whenever you hear a loud wail in the woods, the wailing man is near. Back to the story. Just start with that. That's all you need to do. Oh boy. Okay, I reply. I start off by saying it was a dark and stormy night cliche. I know. I said this to get a few laughs out of my friends. I see, I like that. It's kind of easing them into it with a little bit of humor. There's potential in this story. I can already tell. It just needs reformatting. You need to cut out unnecessary asides, and this could actually be a decent story. Not that it's bad so far. It's got some hangups. After the laughs and eye rolls were over, I dove into the story. It was a pretty typical scary story. I set it up with having a group of stupid teenagers trying to find the Wailing Man after a night of partying. They're completely unaware of what they are getting themselves into. One of the members hears the infamous wails. Unnerved, the group listens to the woods grow completely silent. The sudden rustle of leaves startles the friends. Suddenly, is the Wailing Man gonna pop out and scare them because they're at the campfire right now? Like it's gonna become true, and he made it true or whatever. Suddenly, completely out of nowhere, the Wailing Man appears. He is incredibly tall, around 7 to 8 feet. Has completely no no facial features, black holes for eyes. Well, then he has facial features, and his fingers. God, his fingers. They are at least a foot long with massive claws attached to them. This is turning into an icon pasta. I kind of want to relabel it, but we'll see. He stands still for a moment and swiftly attacks them. He proceeds to kill them one by one, and the bodies were never found. Once I finished the stories? That was the one. And that was barely a story. I purposefully cut the lights next to the bonfire that we set up. Cut the lights? Why would you need lights and a bonfire? And were the lights like flashlights that did you run over and turn them off one by one? Whatever. What the, says John. I start laughing. All my friends share a groan and then proceed to talk about the story. All of them enjoyed it. Do you think the Wailing Man is real? Jess asks inquisitively. Before I can reply, we all hear a rustling in the woods. Yep, there we go. The humidity in the woods swiftly dropped and it became bitterly cold. We all grab our phones and turn on our flashlights. All we can hear is twigs snapping from every direction. We are all terrified. The 6 of us gather together and starting looking in all directions. All we can see is darkness that seemingly go on forever. After hearing the overwhelming amounts of animals running, leaves crunching, and the wind blowing, is a typhoon coming? Jeez. The woods fell silent. Out of nowhere, the Wailing Man appeared. Yes, the real Wailing Man in real life. Oh, I need that on a t-shirt. Yes, the real Wailing Man in real life. I was lost for words. The myth that I became known for was standing before me in the flesh. Without hesitation, the 5 of my friends start running away. I, however, was frozen. I was fascinated, yet terrified. I was petrified. Once I came to, I realized that I was in serious danger. The Wailing Man took a swipe with his claws. I tried to avoid it by turning and starting to run the direction my friends did. It worked. I thought you were frozen. I started to think I was getting away, but then it happened. He caught up to me with incomprehensible speed. He swung back his arm and hit my leg. I lost all feeling in my leg before I blacked out. Oh boy. Oh boy. That was one paragraph. Okay, so these ads are just so freaking annoying. And I would block this one, but I'm not even going to dignify it with that. God. Okay. Not much to say about this. It's almost over. But you just make a Wailing Man tale. You don't need this meta expression of I made up or embellished the Wailing Man and then he became real. You don't need to do this. I do deserve a coffee sip. You're right, Kayla. Thank you. Oh. I woke up 3 days later in a hospital room. Tony was the only one there. It was the strangest thing, he said. That thing, the Wailing Man, vanished out of thin air after he slashed you. I looked down and saw my right leg completely bandaged. Would it be completely bandaged or just like one portion? Maybe if you broke it? I don't know. The doctors worked hours on that leg. It had a slash in it. It took hours to fix that up. Said it was a miracle that they saved it, Tony said with a slight bit of anguish in his voice. I told him that I know exactly why he came. I think he knew somehow. He knew that I would tell stories about him. He knew that I lied about my encounters with him. He wanted to send a message. He wanted to make me pay. Most importantly, I think he wanted me to realize how messed up I am, I told Tony on the verge of tears. That day forward, I stopped spreading lies and telling urban legends, except for this story that I put on the internet. Every time I feel pain in that leg, I think back to the fateful night in the woods. The most traumatic night of my life started me on the path to put my life back on the right track. What is the moral here? Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, this is very like Goosebumps. Which is fine. But it's just that's so weird to read. Well, you know. Go check out the Creepypasta Field Guide. It's the art is fucking fantastic. It's written by our very own Slime Beast. Go do that. Yandere Kun 19 says, that must have been super scary. I believe you, and I have a story none of my friends believe. Okay, well. The kids like it, guys. I can't knock it for that. I really can't. Alright, well. Let's go see what No Sleep has. Let's go see these very real stories, because they're real. This looks like I don't want to read it. Something left my apartment but never entered. No, this is short. I can't read all flash fiction, though. I have to have something of medium length for a story. Fairy Door, well, nah. Have I gotten shit? That's a series. Horror in Oregon. Too long. Just search No Sleep for the word face. Actually. Okay. Why the hell not? Oh, how do you search in No Sleep, though? Oh, this always happens to me. I think I am in it. Yeah, okay. Oh my god. These are very... These are old. These are months old. What the hell? Also, this is not just No Sleep. There we go. I'm doing it wrong. Let's do this month. Series. Coronavirus thing, probably. Okay, let's... yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not reading that. They paid me $5,000 to go through hell. Too fucking long. Way too fucking long. The Death Clock. Oh, good lord, that is super short. Seriously, this is the time to like find me stuff to read, because I will be looking for a while. And I know that's boring, but whatever. I think there is a word count on No Sleep Stories, believe it or not. Why I removed all the doors from my house. That sounds fun. Please be decent length. Okay, here we go. This is decent length. Okay. A little bit of coffee. Oops. Hit the pop filter with my coffee mug. Alright, this is by Richard Saxon on No Sleep. Why I removed all the doors from my house. Now, did you put other things in their place? We will see. My grandmother used to say her house was haunted. They're on the other side of the doors. If you listen closely, you can hear them, she'd say. Her words weren't those of an afraid woman. They weren't filled with sadness or despair, but rather joy. She'd tell me stories about the ghosts that had stayed behind in her house, and as she did, her eyes were always filled with longing and love. Okay. Subverting some expectations here. Don't mind that. So they're not bad ghosts? I would ask, too young to understand the complexities of good and evil. Are you too young to understand the complexity? You have an understanding, though, at some point. Of course not, sweetheart. They would never hurt you. I truly loved my grandma, but I didn't visit her often. My mother wouldn't let me. To her, the house had an uneasy atmosphere, one full of malice, as if an unknown and frightening entity loomed over the place. It didn't help that we lived several hours away, making it difficult for Grandma to visit us with her advancing age and declining health. It made me sad that she lived all alone in such a big old house, but she didn't seem to mind it. So this is perfectly fine so far. I'm not alone, she would say. Our love kept us together even after he passed. I knew she was talking about my grandpa, her late husband. However, she mentioned several figures that kept her company. People I assumed were her own parents, and even some who could have been siblings. Have been? Had been? Had been. Could have been? Back in her day, the people remained at home to die, spending their last moments with loved ones comfortable at home in their own beds. Because of that, a multitude of different people had drawn their last breaths in her very own house. Okay, this setup is perfectly fine. It's definitely, like, this is a ghost story for sure, but hey, whatever. As time went by, my memories of the old house started to fade. I was too busy growing up, and my mother didn't care to visit her childhood home. At the ripe old age of 95, my grandma passed away, peacefully at home with a smile still lingering on her face. Her last will and testament arrived a couple weeks later. It takes a lot longer than that. By that time, I hadn't seen her in years, and the sight of the papers made me feel a bit guilty. Yeah, I know that feel. There wasn't much of a personal message left behind, but it was stated that my mother would inherit all of her belongings, everything save for her house, which was left to me. Everything should not be capitalized. Unless you want to change that semicolon into a colon, which you haven't, so whatever. Seeing as I was just in the process of getting married to my very pregnant fiance, it would be the perfect gift to start our newly-wed life. Okay. So you get the house. That's pretty tits. I hope that it's not several hours away from, like, everything you need, but that's pretty awesome. We moved in about a month later after spending what little money we had left refurbishing the place. Unlike the warm yet mystical feeling the house had held when I was a child, it felt cold, eerie as an adult. Even with new furniture and fixed frames, the house was still loud with creaks and strange whispers behind each closed door. This is very gothic, and I don't mind that. My fiancée, soon-to-be wife, Alice, also noticed the strange fog of weirdness looming over the house, and my mother was still hesitant to visit. But when all things were said and done, my grandma had led a full and happy life in that house, and no harm had ever come to her, so we were eager to start our life together. It truly turned out to be an idyllic place, perfect to raise children, with lush green fields and vast forests surrounding the neighborhood. We spent the next decade there, gifted with 2 children, a young boy named Alex and a little girl named Amanda. From the very beginning, it looked like we were in the makings of a happily ever after. But, of course, it was not to be. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. I swear I didn't read ahead on that. On the 3rd of September 2017, my entire family was killed in a burglary gone horribly wrong, as opposed to a burglary gone horribly right. Oh, 2 children, Alex and Alex, says Slime Beast. I don't remember much from the night itself, just that I woke up to strange sounds and a shattering window. I wasn't a particularly brave man, but if my family was put at risk, I'd do whatever I could to defend them. I grabbed the baseball bat I was planning to gift Alex for his 10th birthday and went to investigate in the dark. Before I could even turn the corner, I felt a sharp pain shoot through my chest as one of the intruders lodged a knife in between my ribs. I fell to the ground, unable to breathe and unable to move my legs. Damn. I tried to call out for my wife to warn her about the approaching men. Wouldn't you want to, like, wake her up and say, hey, this is what's going on? To give her a chance to get the kids and run, but my lungs had filled up with blood and I couldn't get a single coherent word out. There I lay, dying helplessly on the floor as my wife tried to fight off the two men that had entered our outhouse. Entered our house. Typo there. She screamed as they stabbed her, quickly going from panic to a gargle to silence. Then everything went black. So everyone died except you, I'm guessing? I guess they didn't bother double checking, or maybe the pool of blood I'd produced around me made me look dead, but despite their best efforts at exterminating my family, I had somehow survived. I woke as the ambulance rushed me to the hospital, and I cried for my family as they prepped me for surgery. I didn't know that they'd all been killed yet. I still had hope. How did the ambulance know to come? Did someone dial 911 whilst this was all happening? Because it doesn't seem like anyone had time to do that. And if you passed out from the knife wound, how did you do that? Like, I'm not saying that it's such a huge plot hole that it couldn't be explained, but I think one sentence of clearly our alarm system had been tripped. Maybe a neighbor somehow. Good point, Beth, but it sounds like this is out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and they have giant fields and forests around them, so maybe. I don't know. I feel like we just need a sentence there to kind of loop that in, because that's where my brain goes first. But that tiny amount of belief that my wife and children had survived was quickly extinguished. According to the police, the intruders were junkies looking for anything they could sell. During the break-in, they'd been doped out of their minds and attacked anyone in their vicinity. Even as the police chased them down, they fought back, which ultimately resulted with them both getting shot dead. Why are they out here, though? Like, does your house... Like, I'm not a criminal mastermind, but I think junkies would probably, look for, like, being in like a city center, or if they are out in the sticks, not a house of a family of 4. Like, they would definitely have marks. I don't know. It just doesn't... Whatever. Plot device, Mr. Frodo. Plot device. David, is that a reference to a certain very old Flash cartoon that I'm thinking about? Because if so, props. No closure. No coherent reason for their break-in. Why'd they chosen our house rather than the neighbor's vacant home? Okay, so there were neighbors. Okay. I was left with no good explanation. No justice. So he's gonna hear his family through the walls or whatever, through the doors, I guess. Legendary frog! Hell yeah! Oh man, high school's coming back. As for myself, the stab wound had been deep, so much that the knife had partially damaged my spine, enough to leave me with limited use of my legs and left arm. It would take months of rehabilitation before I could even go back to an empty house. Naturally, my mother wanted me to stay with her until I could come to terms with what had happened. She had gotten old, but she still wanted to take care of me, help me through the trying times. She meant well, but in a morbidly depressing way. Staying in that house was the last connection I had to my deceased family. It was a place of love filled with memoirs. I think I should be memories. You write memoirs, you don't make memoirs, of a life brutally cut short. Though I felt more connected to them at home, I couldn't sleep in our old bedroom, nor enter our children's rooms. Instead, I slept in the guest room, one of the few places still untainted by tragedy. Okay. We have a page break here, or a line break. Not really a page break. So let's unpack what we've done so far. Perfectly fine setup. Little bit of I wouldn't call it a plot hole, but definitely kind of just a missing detail that could help just beef up the writing a little bit more. Only a couple typos, which is perfectly understandable. That's all I really got. This is a rare instance where I'm not expecting a no sleep story to shit the bed, because it's already kind of set up the supernatural aspect, but it hasn't. It's done so in a way where it's not going to surprise us. It's not going to ruin the story. You kind of already know what you're getting into off the bat. Now, it could still be uninteresting and tepid, but judging how the writing's been so far, I'm not expecting that. I am optimistic for this. And this does have 6.3 thousand upvotes. Whether that's a good or a bad thing on No Sleep, I don't even know anymore. But I do think it's competently written, and that's a good sign. It's surprisingly restrained so far. Yeah. Yeah. Um. Oh, good point. Rabid Radioactive Raccoon says, so presumably no one ever cleaned the blood from the children's rooms? Yeah. Again, that's like a thing you would say. That's the thing you would put in there of someone came in and they did a full cleaning, and then I asked them to lock up the children's rooms because I never wanted to go in there again. It's very. There's things missing from this account. The next few weeks were spent in a haze of denial and anger at myself that I'd failed to save my family. Understandable. In just a span of 5 minutes, my entire world had been shattered beyond repair, and I saw no solace in the foreseeable future. The house still made its usual weird sounds, creaks, howling wind, and whispers hiding behind each and every closed door. They'd always kept me company, but in the past they'd been little more than a vague presence, something to ignore, to push to the back of my mind. After the tragedy, they seemed to wake up, turning coherent and understandable. As I listened intently to the house speaking, the strange whispers started to take shape, and before long I could actually understand them. One night, 3 weeks and a day after my 3 weeks and a day after my return home, I awoke to the sound of a voice coming from down the hall. I shot to my feet and slowly approached the sounds. It was someone singing, a beautiful, cheerful voice coming from inside her old bedroom. But it wasn't just any song, no. It was one my wife frequently used to hum as she got ready in the mornings. Some old Italian verse her mother used to sing to her when she was a kid. While I never understood the words, it had always comforted me, even on the most stressful day. It had become a symbol of love, peace, one I missed every day without her. Alice? I said, starting to wonder if I was dreaming. I pressed my ear against the door in disbelief at hearing my dead wife's voice. She didn't respond, she just kept singing on the other side. As soon as I confirmed it was her voice, I hopelessly barged in through the door, distraught to find it empty on the other side, filled with nothing but an empty bed, and a closet full of clothes never to be worn again. For a second, I'd felt a grain of happiness, but it was swiftly taken away as her serene voice vanished in the darkness of night. Is this... I wonder where this can really go. I'm being haunted by the voices of my dead family is not really... Like, we've already had a pretty horrific event happen. Is this just gonna be, and then I heard my kids, and then I heard my wife, and they're always on the other side of the doors, so I'm taking those off. It's not bad, it's just kind of, we already know what's happened. I don't know. Oh, coffee break. I collapsed to the floor and cried for the first time since their deaths. I'd been so numb that my ability to feel had simply shut down, but the overwhelming emotion I felt from hearing my wife again finally broke me. I fell asleep on the floor that night, and once I awoke, I convinced myself it had all been just a dream and nothing more. That heartbreaking belief lasted until the next night when I awoke to laughter coming from Alex's bedroom. Yes. It's not a terrible idea, but what are you going to do with it? Alex, is that you? I called out as I approached his closed door. The laughter unmistakably belonged to my dead son. That, along with the sound of toys being flung around and light footsteps running around the room, made me temporarily forget everything that had happened in the past few months. Alex, I said again with tears in my eyes. But he couldn't hear me, and once I opened the door, I was met with another dark, silent room. In the blink of an eye, I was plunged back into reality. Oop, there goes gravity. Oop, alone and afraid. As I felt his presence vanish, I thought back to my childhood, spending time with my grandmother, listening to her stories. They're on the other side of the doors, always there. If you listen closely, you can hear them, she'd say. The whispers I had heard since I was a kid, they were real, just too vague, that should be TOO, and hard to decipher. My grandma heard her husband because she was the person she loved the most because he was the person she loved the most in the entire world. That's why I couldn't understand. Now that the ghosts belonged to my family, it became abundantly clear why my grandma loved that house so much. It was because she could stay surrounded by her lost loved ones. Each night the voices continued. Next in line was my daughter Amanda. I heard her jumping up and down while she talked to her stuffed animals, pretending they were real creatures out on the adventure. She sung to them in a voice as beautiful as her mother's, and I listened while holding my breath. Yeah, okay. That night, I never opened the door. I just sat there listening to her play around, smiling as I was once again living in a house full of life. It quickly became a nightly routine. I'd sleep during the days, and at night I'd huddle up outside the bedroom doors with a blanket just to listen to them go about their lives, not knowing what terrible things had happened to them. Days, weeks, and even months passed, and lived my life vicariously through them, unable to let go. It wasn't a great life, but it was all I had. I couldn't stand to lose my connection to them, so I kept at it. There's a nice it's a nice theming of being unable to let go. For all I know, this dude's dead and just family's alive and he died and whatever, afterlife. No sleep. Any of this could happen. We have another line break. Okay, we're almost done. Again, I don't. So this is like the third part, and I think this is all supposed to come to a head now. We will see if this story sticks the landing. Still, not bad. Not a bad story. Quite better than most things I read on No Sleep. You're right, Paprika. He has to be alive to write this. That's true. That is a rule. Although the mods do just ignore rules arbitrarily, because No Sleep. Because it has 6,000 upvotes. My wife was the first to break her usual nighttime routine. She'd usually awoken me with the sound of her singing or by telling bedtime stories to our kids, but that would all come to a crashing end. Stop, front, loading, that stuff, dude. On that particular night, I was jolted awake to the sound of her terrified screams. I shot to my feet and instinctively called out for her. On the other side of the closed door, I heard her struggle, demanding that someone stay away from her. It was an all too familiar memory, one I'd struggled to forget. It was the moment the killers entered our room to murder her. I burst in through the door, knowing fully well that I couldn't help, but that I could at least end the nightmare. As usual, once the door had been opened, everything fell silent. Then I heard cries coming from Alex's room. He'd been awoken by Alice's screams and wanted to find out what was going on. His cries were quickly shut up as one of the intruders entered his room and slit his throat. I heard a short whimper before he too fell silent. Last in line was Amanda, but I quickly opened the door before I could be tortured by the sounds of her frantic screams as the intruders ended her life. Following that night, I decided to leave the doors open, no matter the fact that I'd never hear my family again. I just couldn't face their deaths for a third or fourth time. Once nightfall came, the doors were inexplicably shut, and the ordeal started all over. The screams of my wife and children, their cries as they realized what was about to happen to them, my failure to save them, it all crushed me. Just kind of getting bored. I feel bad, but that's kind of all there is to this story. It's more just a sad story than a horror story, which is fine. But yeah. In the end, I had no option left but to remove each door from their hinges to end the nightmare once and for all. Only the bathroom and guest room doors remained. It worked without a filter between the real world and the past. I had nothing to listen to, nothing save the deafening silence of an empty house. It was an impossible choice to live peacefully without the comforting voices of my family. Never again would I hear them die, but I'd also be left alone forever. Then I heard the sound of someone crying. I was heading to bed when I heard a familiar voice sobbing through the guest room door. It wasn't my wife, nor the cries of a child. It was me. You can hear yourself in the past? What? I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I stood speechless, too terrified to even open the door, but I was quickly brought back to my senses when I heard a gunshot from the other side, followed by a quiet thump, then nothing. Until that point, the house had always spoken to me with voices from the past, but then something more sinister had approached, something that hadn't happened yet. Oh, you're seeing your own suicide? I didn't go to sleep that night, nor did I dare enter the guest room. I simply sat at my kitchen table until I passed out from a haze of exhaustion and alcohol. Alcohol misspelled, I think. There should be a second H. And once daylight arrived, I removed that door as well. Whether what I heard behind the door is my ultimate destiny, or if I can somehow survive this nightmare, remains to be seen. I can't say I haven't thought about ending it all, but for now, I've just removed every single door from my house. And it's finally quiet. Watch thing. I'm guessing YouTube. It's a narration. Okay. Not a terrible way to end it. Wasn't what I was expecting. I feel like this could be a third shorter. Like, we could have gotten all of this last part summed up in part 2. And that would kind of shore it up a bit. But overall, not bad. Not really scary. I guess the ending kind of is. Yeah, no, 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 that was good. That gets an upvote. Yeah, it's well put together. It's not changing my world or anything, but relatively speaking to other stuff I read on No Sleep, this is actually pretty strong. And I will give it, I will grade it on that curve. Snickle, I'm not reading COVID-19 stories. Like, I'm just not doing it. I find them tasteless to be writing about this shit as it's happening. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm sorry. If you have something else you'd like me to read, feel free to suggest it. Back to creepypasta. Let's read some garbage, but it's entertaining garbage. The gym is no Corona. Never mind. I'm very real. Okay. All right, let's do this. Endless trash. Oh, creepypasta story tag. Yeah. I probably am gonna do that. Anyway, this is I Am Very Real, posted by Cark0, CARK0, on the creepypasta subreddit. I am a 30-year-old man and I have a story to tell. This is also how I enter most conversations as a 31-year-old. I am a 31-year-old man and I have something to say. All right. In 2006, I was growing up in northern Indiana. My family is a long line of hunters, and we own several acres of land that is used for hunting, and most people trespass on it. Well, that sucks to hear. In northern Indiana, I know certain states have certain weird laws about trespassing. Like in Vermont, I think like you're allowed to basically walk across people's land if you don't have certain signage up that says no trespassing, because there's just so much, like a lot of houses are just really spaced out. So I don't know, I'm not going to look up northern Indiana's trespassing laws, but just a thought. My dad wanted to take me on a hunting trip with some friends. I was excited, as a 16-year-old would be. I invited my two closest friends, Ron and Danny. Had I known what would happen, a bunch of fucking white people in these stories, I would have declined this trip in an instant. Our trip was around my 15th birthday in November. That seems to be, is it a birthday trip? Like, why is that in the story? My father wanted to hunt at night, and I agreed reluctantly. I didn't want to be called a pussy by my friends. We left around 11 p.m. These these sentences, just very truncated. They need to be a little bit, need to have clauses. They need to be more substance to them. It was a 30-minute drive up to the woods we would be hunting in. In the car, I was, Jesus Christ, wait, so how much land do you have that takes 30 minutes to get to the frickin' woods? In the car, I was anxious being in the dark in a wooded area. I got some sleep and awoke at about 11:45 to my father and friends unloading the car. Good morning, sleeping beauty. We were about to leave you here, kid. Hurry up and get your rifle, my father jokingly said. I got out of the car slowly and wiped my eyes. I felt less on edge after the small amount of sleep. My group made our way into the chilling and moonlit forest. We had brought flashlights, but decided to not use them yet. Why? Isn't that just being safe? On our way to the hunting tower, the smell of decaying flesh and human waste filled my lungs. It was a rotten and disgusting stench. My father brushed it off as a dead animal, but we know it's human waste? Aren't you guys hunters? Shouldn't that be like big ass warning sign of, something's up. That was believable for a bunch of 16-year-olds, but not my older than 16-year-old dad. We should have turned back right then and there. As we closed in on the hunting stands, the stench from earlier had faded almost completely. There were 2 stands, and I climbed up one with Danny, while my dad climbed up the other with Ron. The 2 hunting stands were in a large clearing surrounded by a brush and miles of wooded areas. It was a flat terrain which we had a clear view of. The moon made the clearing slightly illuminated, but still difficult to see. So I'm not a hunter. Not to get too deep into my personal politics, but like I'm fine with hunting if it's, if you're trying to control the deer population, if you're hunting and you're going to use it for food, it's not endangered, blah, 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 blah. I don't get deer stand hunting. I really don't understand the appeal of sitting in a little structure and waiting for a deer to come by and just shoot it. Like fishing's a little different because you are just either on a pier or on a boat, but you're wrangling with the fish when you're trying to catch it. I don't understand deer stand hunting. Like that just, if I'm gonna hunt, I want to hunt. I want to go and track and chase something. Like, that's the whole point of hunting, right? Whatever. Bisme is a furry. Well, we all know I like furry porn. That's no fucking. That's no fucking secret. Where are we? Okay. Are you nervous? Asked Danny. No, it isn't my first time doing this, I told him. It was my first time, and it's my first time, and I'm scared. What if I shoot somebody? You won't. Calm down. All right, Dick Cheney. Nobody is going to leave their stand until we find some game. Or you mean the game just wanders up to you? All right, whatever, say. Danny was always pessimistic and overthinking of everything. I don't think I could reassure him this would all be fine. We had brought food and a deck of cards. We turned on our flashlight. Wait, are you supposed to not make noise? Because you'll scare away the deer? Whatever. We turned on our flashlight and hung it from the roof of the stand to use as a light while we played war. We stayed as quiet as possible. About an hour passed. It was close to 1 a.m. at this point. We heard rustling in the brush across from the clearing of both towers. Danny and I stopped our game of cards and looked across the clearing. We both saw it. A humanoid creature that moved on 2 legs but had 6 limbs. It was pale, had skin hanging off of its face, and looked like a skeleton. Okay, at least it's not Slender Man or Slender Man analog. Like, hey. It had long claws and a hairy head with sunken eyes that looked like voids, barely visible in the moonlight. I walked towards the stands and I was terrified. This is like freaking Sasquatch's inbred cousin. Ron and my father looked at Danny and I's stand. Ron and my father looked at the stand Danny and I were in. It would just be easier to say, I think, with very concerned looks. This thing disappeared as soon as it reappeared. Wait. Wouldn't it disappear as soon as it appeared? It hasn't reappeared yet, has it? But that wasn't the end. Even more of these things came out of the woods. There were at least 20 of them. Damn, okay, this is escalating pretty quickly. So there's 20 of these weird-ass creatures. Now, I'm guessing you guys don't have that much ammo. As soon as they all disappeared, we descended the stands and began a quick jog back to the car. On our way back, I heard twigs snapping occasionally. I saw a shadow one time, but brushed it off. You would not be brushing it off at this point. You would be very paranoid because of the fucking cryptids you just saw show up en masse out of the fucking forest. We were almost at the car when I decided to look back. Biggest mistake ever. Hundreds of those creatures all coming toward us. I yelled and told everybody to run. I knew not all of us would make it. I was the fastest. Fuck y'all, I'm out of here. We almost made it to the car. My father handed me the keys to the car, and I was, oh, no, do not start scanning. Stop. My father handed me the keys to the car, and I was able to start and unlock it before, don't you mean unlock it and then start? Before the creatures could catch up. I managed to get in the car, and the next sigh was what I could never erase from my head. And the next, I managed to get in the car, and the next, was the next sight. The next sight. was what I can never erase from my head. My dear father and my friends being ripped to shred by these things. Okay, so another story where everyone dies except for one person. They were even more terrifying in person. They were skin and bone with a hole where their eyes should be. I floored it and ran over 3 of those bastards. I began driving home while trying to keep my frame of mind. State of mind? Frame of mind? Okay. I eventually was able to get home, but something was wrong. As soon as I stepped in the door, I woke up in my bed to the blistering daylight coming through my window. Wait. This was the same thing that happened yesterday. Was it all a fake? Was it all just a lucid dream? No, it can't be. I walked in my father's room. I didn't want to open the door. I slowly opened the door. The sight was horrendous. Danny and Ron, my father, their mangled corpses were barely recognizable, and blood covered the room. Written on the wall in their blood said, "I am very real," capital R. Then I heard scratching on the front door. I could see it through the window. It was them, and they were indeed real. Oh my god. Okay, the story did what it wanted to accomplish and what it promised. I have to give it that. Cool story, bro. Yay. Yay. I think I am going to start all of my conversations going forward, however, with new people. I am a 31-year-old man and I have something to say. Because that shit is funny. Oh boy. Why is it always confusing dream nonsense at the end? That's a good question, David. I don't know. I don't know. Sakura says, I never knew anyone that hunted from the stand. It was shelter if the weather got bad or you were going to stay in your spot overnight. You don't hunt from the inside the stand. Damn you, author. Yeah, see? Yeah. Suggestion, a creepypasta called They Come. Look it up, why not? Oh, I misspelled creepypasta because I'm smart. I just want to see if this is on the Reddit. It's not. Okay, we'll do the wiki. I've seen people shoot bows from stands. Yeah, I think so. Why was fat fart face porn in your history there? Because I have needs. All right. This is decent length. Okay. There's no doubt about it. Oh, sorry. They come on the creepypasta wiki. No stated author. History. First thing is from Criminal. Criminal with a Y. Back in 2011. Damn, this is old. There's no doubt about it. We fear rain. We wear our trench coats and our umbrellas and all that to avoid getting hit by some lousy droplets of water. It's not a fear, it's to prevent an inconvenience. Because, like, you know, if you can get sick if you're out in the cold and you're wet. It can ruin your clothes. What if you're carrying things? It's kind of, you know. But what is it that makes us fear it? It's not something we learn, it's something deep that resonates within us. And an unexplainable repulsion towards getting ourselves wet during a downpour. It is not a learned fear, it's instinctive. Again, there's a reason, like, you get sick if you're out in the cold and you're wet for too long, and it's just a bad thing. Whatever. Instinct, a small word for such a huge idea. I've lived in the countryside for 4 months now, and am now back in the city. Wait. I'm now in the countryside for 4 months as of now, and now I'm not because I'm back in the city. Okay. The neighbors used to tell me to nail the windows shut for about 2 or 3 weeks right after I started living there. But it was the beginning of the summer, and with all the heat of the sun, I wasn't going to do something as stupid as that. At least I thought it was stupid. Front loading. You know that smell, the one that rises just before the rain starts falling on you? In the city, people will always say it's the smell of watered earth, of the dirt getting wet, of bacteria and plants receiving the rain. But the people have never been in the country. They haven't the faintest idea. You see, the cities, the huge metropolis, has not always been there. Mankind has been living in nature far more than it has been living in the cities. Okay, that's true. That is why we still have the instinct to fear the rain. We don't fear the rain. It is not the smell of earth, dirt, bacteria, plants. It's their smell. They come out in the rain and they seek to mate. Oh, God. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. But they cannot hold their own, for they must retreat hastily as soon as the rain gives in and the water stops. I didn't nail my windows shut, and as soon as the rain came, I started hearing it. Have you ever heard the tiny, almost unnoticeable hum or high pitch that TVs make when they're turned on? Have you ever felt a pressure on your chest when a low-pitched beat is heard? The pressure, like sub bass? Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about frequencies just below and just above human hearing, I think. Those are the things that filled the air, that smell, and those moans, high and low thumping moans. Is this porn? This feels like porn. It's the smell they follow. I came home a bit wet. Giggity, for the rain started on my way home. I started hearing those noises sometime after I entered my house. Then the scratching on my door began. I went to check it through the window, and what I saw was horrible. What at first looked like a giant worm was in fact a humanoid thing. How many humanoid things do I have to read about? With its lower body being one leg or tail, its small atrophied arms were strong enough to allow them to crawl, slither. And its face, it looked like it had been petrified. The only thing that looks like it was in use was its nose. What? It moved, and as soon as I got close to the window, its face slithered towards me. The window was slightly open, and now I know it turned because it could smell me. This is a terrible way to set up a scary scene. Oh my God. I just read all that and I don't think I retained any of it. It moved towards the window, but it wasn't strong enough to pull itself up inside. And I had enough time to close the window. Soon enough it turned, trying to sense the smell, my odor. And after a while, more came. From the hills came an entire legion of those things. 300, 400, maybe. Thoughts of monkeys running up towards high rocks and climbing trees came to my mind. These are the things we've feared since the dawn of time. No. No, you have not earned that at all, story. Not at all. After a while, the macabre sight became something I couldn't stand. The noise was so much I couldn't sleep, and the things were so ugly and disgusting, yet I could not stop watching. So yeah, this is a thing that happens in the country all the time. No. You can't phrase this as this is a fact of life. This is a thing that happens. It should be, this is a thing that happens in this remote area of the world that you've never been to, reader. It's just not earned at all. Soon I saw the old stray dog that always wandered around. It was a dirty dog. It must have been 15 years old, too old to run, too old to live. They grabbed hold of his paws. 1, 2, 3, 5 paws. What? Are they going to mate with the dog? The dog started howling and tried to bite one, then the other. Soon they overpowered the poor animal, and then it happened. From their chests came out a sting. 1, 2, 3, 5. What? Why is it 1, 2, 3, 5? They all started stinging the poor beast. After that, they all turned towards the east. Then they started crawling as fast as they could towards the plains. They disappeared as fast as they came. I should probably zoom in. I'm sorry. The dog lays. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, Bisme, refresh the page to see the attribution I totally did not just now add. That's what Cleric just said. Criminal. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure, because some of these, like, I don't know if Criminal wrote this or just shared it. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. Blah, 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 blah. Shit. There we go. Okay. The dog lay motionless. It seemed like parts of him breathed. At intervals, parts of his body pulsated. Then suddenly the dog jumped to his fours and looked renewed. It started running like it was a young pup. Then it went running towards the plains and disappeared from my sight. When morning broke, I took nails and wood planks and nailed my windows shut. Not even one hole was left. I even checked for other holes in the walls, the door. God, I was starting to get paranoid. I left the house to get some groceries from the neighbors. From the neighbors? Okay, they got like farms, I guess. They had their own. Oh, they had their own farm and it had a lot of things for sale. But we're talking farms here. The distance I had to travel was about a mile or two to their house. When I got there, black menacing clouds were near. The neighbors were cold and quick. They gave me eggs, milk, and some honey and meat, but told me if I wanted to live, I should stay for the night. I remembered last night, but I still hadn't made the connection of rain and monsters, so I declined the offer and hurried back, while the farmer behind me yelled I should stay if I valued my life. The rain started midway towards my house. I was wet within the first 10 seconds of rain. It was a real downpour. I felt the smell of rain once more. Why is rain in quotation marks? It's still rain. It's not different. And then I heard the sounds once again, the high-pitched noise, the low thumping. It's just a Skrillex song. I don't know what the problem is. I wet my pants when I saw the first one of those things crawling towards me. Its nose like a black eye moving towards me. At least you didn't vomit. I'll give you that. I dropped what I was carrying and ran for my life. No, not the eggs and honey. Even though they crawled, they were pretty fast. I was beginning to lose my breath when suddenly, once again, the image of monkeys climbing trees came to me. I remembered it could not lift itself through my window. I realized I had a small hope for surviving this, but I had some hope. While I was running, I turned to see left and right. All I needed was something above the ground, something that they couldn't climb up to. The farmer's barn! Your friendly bartender! I could see he left his old wood ladder on the side of it. All I had to do was set it up, climb it, and then raise it so that they could not follow. I'm so bored of this story. Oh my god. I'm running from things that are so unbelievable. It was heavier than I thought, but I was truly terrified of what would happen if I didn't raise it. When I had put it in place, one of the things faster than those of its kind tried to stab me with his sting. I could see it like I was in slow motion. I grabbed the sting with both hands. This is like an action movie now. While the thing kept trying to nail me with it, lol. An egg came out of it. So it's an ovipositor? Well, I tried to keep it away from me. I pushed the thing to the side and the egg fell to the ground. It started to move and pulsate, but then it stopped. The exterior turned to stone. Okay, I'm almost done. Yeah, I'm just gonna finish it. As soon as that happened, I heard the clamor of those things stronger and more penetrating than ever. I saw that the one thing which tried to stab me was now writhing, like it was in pain. I didn't hesitate for 1 minute. I felt rage within me, so I started to kick it. Then I stomped its head in. I ran up the ladder, and then I raised it towards me, up on the barn's roof. I don't know how I managed to, but I fell asleep in the rain. But the next morning, I was woken by the farmer's wife yelling at me. She kept asking why I was there. Because I didn't want to die. You all know this. I put the ladder, went down, and found a little stone ball and the skeleton of a dog with its skull bashed in. Why had I never seen those things until now? Why did this happen only in a place like this? It all came to me. The egg, the rain, the smell of wet people. What about those flashes in my mind, those memories of a time long gone? The people around here, the environment around here, it's all very much like the one it was some thousands of years ago. The only thing around here that's changed are the houses. It's the only new thing. All those memories of the past came to me because this thing, it's a primal fear. How many more times do we have to have this nailed into our heads? We have been running from the rain and water for so long, even when we were unevolved chimps. Were we ever chimps? Chimps prime? I guess chimps are primates. Whatever. We ran from it and ran from the ground as well. I left that place as quickly as I could. I only spent one more night in those plains. I heard those screams and thumps this time, and they came from my house, and my aroma alone. I killed one of their eggs. I knew it was because of this. How else could one explain all the ruckus that happened when the infected dog dropped the egg? They beat on my door. They slammed their bodies against it. They kept moaning and scratching, hitting and weeping, smelling my fear. However, the rain stopped quickly, and they ran away. I am writing this now because I'm scared of them. I came back to the city, but maybe I should have let them take me. Why? Instead, I brought this plague with me back to the city. What? But they don't... Okay. You're the only one who's ever moved out, found them, and come back to the city? They are on the other side of my door, and it's raining outside. It has been for a long time, because even now, even though we don't know about them, deep inside we still fear them. Oh God, the rain won't stop. It's been 3 days, and I'm beginning to lose it. They claw the door, and I don't know how much more it will resist. They are taking it down. They smell my... Oh, God. That was all the tropes. That was all the tropes. Oh, Jesus. Worms coming out in the rain. Yeah, it's just... 9 out of 10. No. That Candlejack ending. Oh, boy. Ugh. That was bad. That was bad. Probably like the first attempt at a creepypasta. There's nothing I really need to say about this. It's all unbelievable. The writing is so staccato, but with little substance. It just keeps repeating itself. No. You say no. Oh, boy. I might steal this and just write a story about a kid seeing his friend out in the rain with predatory worms dangling out of his skin. You see there? There you go. That shows some restraint. Can I highly recommend, does anyone know a good plumber from No Sleep? Yes. Yes, Rabid Radioactive Raccoons, you can. And dear Lord, I hope that... does anyone know a good plumber? Six years ago. Wow. Archived, 2.4 thousand upvotes. Oh, so it's been read on UCA. I probably listened to that episode, but it was so damn long ago that I do not even remember it. It's turbo good. You ain't going turbo now, are you? Okay, this is actually decent length too. Okay, let's use this as a palate cleanser. Does anyone know a good plumber? I did one of those stupid rituals and now my shower is leaking and there's a faceless guy in my kitchen. All right, because this was 2013, I'm going to give that title a pass. This is on No Sleep by Narrative of the Life. Strong language warning. My virgin ears. Does anyone know a good plumber? I fucked up one of those stupid ritual things that everyone is doing, and now my shower is leaking, and also there's some faceless guy in my kitchen. My landlord comes tomorrow, and he's going to kill me, especially because I also have a cat, and I'm not even supposed to have pets. That's kind of awesome. And relatable. I do know people who sneak pets under leases. I'm not going to give their names, of course, but... It all started when I was drunk messaging a girl on Tinder, and she said that the only way we would meet up is if I did this weird ritual thing where I summon a ghost or some shit. I think she called it mea culpa or something. She called it my fault. Oh my god. Actually, her exact message was, the decaying flesh will not rest. I am the Alpha and Omega. I have seen the burning cities consume the earth. Link to ritual instructions. Our souls meet when darkness spills. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. She was a weird chick. This is fun. This is like a comedic. I wouldn't call it a troll pasta, but it's got that. It's taking the piss the entire time. Oh my god! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Go away! Seriously. Ugh. All right. At least I think she was a girl. I couldn't really see her face. Her picture was just a black background with two shiny dots that kind of looked like eyeballs. You could sort of see some features, but it looked like her face was gray, and I couldn't really see her mouth. But she had really good skin. I wasn't about to rally for a pizza face. Oh boy. So anyway, I weighed the pros and cons of spooky rituals versus trampoline booty as best I could on 5 shots of Patron. Oh, this is fun. It was totally worth it. I set my cell phone to 3:26 a.m., but since my phone is a 2005 Motorola Razr, a Razr? I think it's just Razr, that was dropped in the toilet several times, it went off at 4 a.m. Fuck. This is fantastic. Okay, rules and ritual stories are coming back. We need someone to write this, something like this, to just take those down a peg, because I'm fucking sick of seeing them. I decided to go through with the ritual anyway. I was also supposed to have a friend during this thing, but my bestie recently got incarcerated for selling heroin on the corner of Patterson Park and Eastern Avenue. Shout out to my main man, Roscoe. This is fantastic. Anyway, I sat up and turned off my alarm, but the moment I turned it off, I drunkenly passed out again. I woke up 20 minutes later and actually got out of bed this time, stumbling around the room in the dark because apparently you're not supposed to turn on the lights because if you do, a ghost will pop out. Ooh. I was supposed to find a candle and light it, but my hangover just made me trip over one of the several candles I placed on my floor. Eventually, I gave up and flipped the lights on, grabbing a candle from my desk. Oh, this is good. I have no input because it knows exactly what it's doing. It's flaunting every idea about rules and ritual pastas in its face, and just being like, "Oh, I woke up after the time. I don't fucking care. I'm drunk." Like, ugh, Jesus. Beth says, I generally can't stand ritual pastas. There's no reward or point to them most of the time, so I can't relate to the motivation for bothering doing them. Exactly. Kayla says the guy who hosted a ritual creepypasta contest. Yes, I did. And I did because I knew it would be difficult, and we actually got good rituals out of that. And a lot of that was because it wasn't second person, here, do the thing. It was, this is a ritual someone attempted, and that is so much better because it is not putting it's not asking the motivation of the reader, because the reader's just going to be sitting there going, well, I don't want to do this. Why would I do this? It's someone who already has their own motivation as a character in the story or the narrator, which makes so much more sense. I squinted out my window to see what my ghetto Baltimore neighborhood looks like at 4:20 a.m. Lol, 4:20. The street was empty except for some rando wearing a black robe and a giant pointy black hat. He was staring up at me through the window. I couldn't really see his face. You know, Baltimore has gone to the fucking dogs. First gang wars, now an updated KKK. For God's sake. I lit the candle and looked at my phone. I was supposed to knock on my bedroom door 66 times. The 66th knock timed on the 4:06? Oh, 4 minutes, 6 seconds? But since I had fucked everything else up, I just did a shave and a haircut knock and then walked into my hallway. My bedroom door is opposite the stairs, and looking down that dark stairwell was pretty spooky. I thought I saw something move on one of the lower steps. For the next step, I was supposed to close my eyes and walk forward while chanting mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa, which is Italian for my culpa. Which is probably some kind of shitty Italian car. I love this so much. I tried to close my eyes and walk forward while talking about Italian cars, but my cat, Fish Sticks, ran under my feet and I ended up tripping over him and falling down the flight of stairs. Oh, this is a fucking story I want to see turn into a short film. At some point, the stupid candle went out as I flailed down the stairs, but I was too concussed to care. I rolled up from the ground, groaning, and decided that I would just continue to go through the motions, which meant hiding in a closet and waiting for the ghost to play hide and seek with me. I chose the kitchen pantry because I had some open potato chips in there, so I made my way back. As I stumbled, I heard several soft whispers behind me. I spun around, hoping that I was right about Fish Sticks knowing how to talk, but there was no one there, except for the figure standing in the corner. I stopped, blinked, and it was gone. I really needed to lay off the Patron. As I honed in on the closet, the alcohol and concussion finally caught up with me, and I stumbled to a stop, doubling over and vomiting watery Patron all over my kitchen floor. Fuck! My ass was landlord grass. The hellish combination of alcohol, concussion, post-vomit, and a looming eviction notice caused my emotions to go haywire, and I unleashed a violent sob, mucus and tears rivering down my face. Earned vomit because he had been drinking and probably had fuck all to eat, and also, yeah, concussion. Earned vomiting. I have not seen that in so long. I heard a noise outside the kitchen. My eyes fell on the kitchen window, and I spied that stupid gang member / KKK dude in my backyard, still staring at me. I must have looked like an idiot weeping in front of my kitchen pantry. Too ashamed to confront him, I had just crawled into the pantry and shut the door. It was so cold in there, it damn froze my man titties off. My air conditioner was probably broken. I definitely needed to call the landlord, but that would mean sedating fish sticks and stuffing him in a suitcase under my bed. At this point, I realized that I needed to reevaluate my life. Maybe I shouldn't drink as much. Maybe I should give fish sticks to a good home. Maybe I should find women with intellect employees. Maybe I should move out of my shit neighborhood where KKK people roam around at 4 a.m. Oh, thank you so much for suggesting this. This is great. I love it. Channel Zero would turn this into a hyper serious body horror. You're right, Slime Beast. Channel Zero, do not touch this. I know you were canceled, but if you ever come back, do not touch this. Do not touch good stories. Or don't ruin stories that, even if they aren't good, and ruin them further. After going through an entire existential crisis in my pantry, I decided to say fuck it and end this stupid ritual. That Tinder girl wasn't even that hot anyway. And besides, I still had like 70 more ritual things to complete, which included lighting 8 more candles, stabbing a Japanese doll, and spinning around in a circle while screaming, "You're it, you're it." This was all supposed to culminate in me going to my basement, sitting in front of a mirror, and looking into the mirror, but not actually looking into it, which made absolutely no fucking sense. Oh, this is so on point. I love it. As I got up to open the pantry door, I heard a low moan coming from behind the door. I froze. I prayed to God it wasn't my landlord. I cracked open the door to see the gang member KKK guy standing in the kitchen staring at me. I finally got a good look at him. He definitely didn't have a face. I guess getting your face taken away is part of the gang ritual now. He didn't react to my presence, he just stared. I didn't know how the hell to deal with gang members or faceless KKK members, so I just stared back. We did this for about 5 minutes before I slowly inched out of the kitchen and back upstairs. He turned to watch me as I went, but didn't move. So after that, I went up to my bathroom to take a shower, and now my shower head is leaking, which I blame on the stupid ritual. So if you guys know any good plumbers in the Baltimore area, I would really appreciate it. Oh, damn, that was good. Oh, man. Narrative of the life. I don't even know if you've written other stuff. You probably have, but this is gold. This is so gold. Thank you for writing this. Holy shit. Why does this not have more upvotes? Like, no sleep. You don't know the gold you're sitting on sometimes. Let's look at the comments. This is like the scary movie of Arson No Sleep posts. He needs to write a sequel with MJ in it. Like Michael Jackson? This is probably the most hilarious thing I've ever read on No Sleep. Thanks, my man. I know a couple companies. Also, I'm Baltimorean? Baltimorean. We talking city or county? City all day, bro. The county is nice, though. Ah, yes. The county. You got a problem? County represent. Don't forget to let fish sticks out of your suitcase if that went down. Shit. Autopilot 2. Fish sticks. Oh, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut, but I like it. Free Roscoe. Shout out to my man Roscoe. Oh. Ask the faceless guy for some help. He's just standing there anyway. He may as well do something useful. I threw a mop at him. No reaction. What an asshole. Farting on fatties is also a way of life. Oh, ha 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 ha. So that's where it comes from. Oh, an artist rendition? Yes, MS Paint rendition. Absolutely. Oh, I'm here for that. Well, that was amazing. I've been streaming for an hour and 20 minutes. I kind of want to do at least one more. My allergies are fucking killing my throat, but I want to keep going. I'm going to go get something to drink super quick. If anyone can make another good recommendation, please put it in the chat. I'll be right back. You promised you'd play AI Dungeon. Not on this stream, I didn't. You're not getting me again with that. All right. All right. So let's go back to Creepypasta Reddit. And we're gonna sort. How do you sort by the thing? Oh, there we go. Filter by flare. Boom. Did I look at this? It looks like I looked at it. Okay. I think there's a creepypasta you should read. It's called Abandoned by the Haunted Mansion or something. Sounds tired. Comedians cry for help. Meh, maybe not. Be leaving. Be leaving. Be me. Be leaving. Be. Do you know him? Do you know him? Yeah, okay. Let's do this. I begged my parents to take me to a theme park, and now I have the kung flu. Oh, gallows humor. All right, this is Do You Know Him? You spelled you, like leet speak. Creepypasta subreddit posted by Karanum1997. I'm guessing 1997 is the year of birth. On a stark Thursday night, I stared out of the window of the precinct. Hard-boiled detective film noir? Was that what we're doing? Then looked at my watch to check the time. It was 10:30 p.m. and the skies looked like it was about to rain. And then the weird worm people came out and ate my face. I couldn't wait to get out of this humid police station in my sweaty uniform. This is the start of a porn. My thoughts are interrupted by my colleague, Shirag? Shirag? I think I've seen that name before, believe it or not. Apparently, he has gotten into the weekend mood a little early, and he is forcing me to grab a beer with him in a nearby bar and restaurant. He's holding a gun to me, but we're both cops, so it doesn't really do anything. Mouse, I just heard you. Yeah, no, come in here. Come here. I just fed you, so you can't be angry at me. Come on, Mary Goldbar. Come on, Mary. Gold Bar will be empty tonight, and its owner hasn't paid his due for this week. It will be a free beer for you. What's the harm? So, that whole fucking sentence. So, the bar's paying the police for protection? That's kind of weird. Whatever. While Shirag was trying to convince me there is tall, lanky guy with frameless spectacle coming in all worried and sweaty. It felt like he had lost his car or something. Tall, lanky guy with frameless spectacle. We all know him. He was in office formal attire, and he directly looked at me and said, I had like to press charges for an intruder in my house. My wife is with him, but I'm thinking this is not English as a first language. That's my guess. His voice breaks down a little. She is okay with it. What the fuck? What the fuck? What are you reporting? This is divorce proceedings. Whatever. Shirag's tough voice breaks in. Look, mister, we're not here to record your petty cheating cases of your wife. Okay, I think it is like English is not a first language here, but it's just funny to read. The victim looks up enraged. He looks up and angry. Oh my god. You don't get it. It was all planned. First my friends, then my money, and now my family. This is not fair. I try to reassure him by saying, please sit down and let's take your report formally. Shirag's get a phone call, and he walks out to attend the call. The victim and I walk into the side and sit on the table. He is a bit worried now, but he starts narrating his case and his weird experiences from past few days. Raunak Sharma. Okay, so I'm guessing this is Indian? Or Southeast Asia, perhaps? I am Raunak Sharma, working in the ITS, an IT firm. Indian dude working in IT? Oh, man. Trying not to be a stereotype here. I had client holidays on Tuesday and Wednesday, so I had planned for an evening out with my best friend. When I left my house and drove my car towards the hotel, there was this strange person who was standing in the middle of the street. When I honked at him, he came to the side and asked politely for helping him to drop him off at a nearby. What was nearby? We will never know. He informed me how his cab got canceled and how got late for his seminar. He looked decent with a round face and a white thing in his and a white shirt coupled with blue trousers was worn by him. His stop was quite near for me to ask any questions or strike a conversation with him. Can you please get to the details of when and where the crime was committed? This feels more like your personal experience. It's quite late and I don't think this is relevant to the crime at all. I interrupted him, as I wanted to get done with this as soon as possible. I hate my job. Officer, this person is the one who took my life, my money, my everything. Look, sir, if you really want, I can arrange a sketch artist to whom you can describe the details of this person, and we will try to find him. It would be a robbery case, and you can just get to the point about... It would be a robbery case, and you can just get to the point about what all he stole, please? This is like put through Google Translate. Yeah. Ooh boy. He gave me a heavy sigh and continued, I'm getting to it, officer. Please let me complete. Oh, God damn it. Raunak continued. When I dropped him near the junction, he got down, and before he got down, he told me something really weird. He got down, and before he got down, he told me that friends are like a real gem and often a set of different gems from a wonderful collection of jewelry. That's kind of beautiful. It would be a shame to lose any one of gem, isn't it? That's what haunts me at night when people whisper through the vents. It would be a shame to lose any one of gem, isn't it? At first I ignored and rushed to the hotel. To my surprise, my best friend was already there. He is often late, but this time he was there. He was looking for someone. When I went and greeted him, he didn't recognize me and acted like I was a complete stranger, and he started asking questions like, do I know you? I'm going to stop and unpack everything and try to make sense of this. Obviously, I think there's a language barrier here, but so there's a police officer about to get off of their shift. Someone comes in and says, a dude broke into my house, but there's a weird arrangement. My wife is okay with it. I want you to get this dude out of my house. And then he starts telling his story, and he picks up a dude and drops him off, and then the dude starts saying weird cryptic shit to him. Okay. I don't know what any of that means, but whatever. I interrupt him again, this time in anger. I interrupt and angry. Sir, if this isn't even a robbery but a stupid prank, why are you even reporting this? Please call your friend and get consolidated. Yo, get consolidated. Exactly my thoughts. A prank, a joke. He walked away and so did I. When I returned home and told my wife about this strange event, she thought I was also trying to spoof her and prank her as well. I tried calling my best friend's cell, but he didn't pick up. Next day, I had to rush to office for an important document and use it to fill a form. I had to go to the office for an important document and use said document to fill a form. What weird universe is this? When I was driving my car to office at the same place I found that creepy guy with the same outfit as last night, he looked at me and emptied his pockets and ran away. This is like T-posing. You just take everything in your pockets, throw it on the ground, and just run away. This is how you intimidate people. I wanted to chase him, but he ran into nearby lanes or shops. This is plural. It was strange, but this task of office was much more critical, and I had to get it done within the time frame. So without much thought, I rushed to office. Again, to my surprise, when I reach office, I find my pockets missing my wallet. I had my keys, phone, and wallet, but now it wasn't there. Okay, so he's like doing like a twin mirror thing and forcing like a kind of like a weird twist on a voodoo doll. He emptied out his pockets, now your pockets are empty. He's taking over your life. Okay. there's a premise here. The premise is finally showing itself almost at the end of the story, but, whatever. Now I am convinced that this guy is either some creepy lunatic who is out of his mind, as most lunatics would be. I would not interrupt him and ask him how he lost things or how he is able to see this other guy he keeps speaking about. Oh, okay, sorry. So this is what the officer is thinking of the guy who came in. Yeah. It was convinced this guy was either some creepy lunatic. I was convinced this guy was either some creepy lunatic who was completely out of his mind. Roanoke said in a reassuring manner. Why did you both? What is happening? What is happening in this story? I'm so confused. When he said this, I was completely taken aback. How could my exact thoughts be felt by him? I am scared to my bones. Roanoke studies to change my body language, and now for the first time, he smiles and says, "You know what's crazy? Today, when I returned from work, I met this guy again, but not in middle of street in some strange way. He booked a ride for a carpool from my office till my home. When he comes to my car from the office pickup spot, he seems changed. He has spectacles now, formal clothes. He is no more trying to talk to me or trying to take things for me or being mysterious at all. In fact, the whole way back, I keep asking him questions, trying to get things out of him. He even calls me crazy at a point of time. He says he has never met me." Roanoke chuckles for a bit, then continues. So this weird mimic is taking over Roanoke, or already has, and is now going to take over the officer or something. Oh. Gonna close the door because Mouse opened it. Yeah, I'm closing it on you. What are you gonna do about it? When we reach my building, I'm going to basement to park my vehicle, but to my surprise, there is already some other car in my parking spot. Will I park at some other spot and go to my apartment via the elevator, thinking about all these strange experiences? I tried to unlock the door with my keys, but it didn't work for some strange reason. When the door unlocks from the inside, I see the same creepy person yelling at me, "Stalker, go away, I'll call police, go away." I could see my wife looking at me like a complete stranger, like someone else. This is very Twilight Zone. That's what this feels like. This feels like a very classic Twilight Zone episode that I can't remember the title of right now, but that's what this feels like. I was broken. I was petrified. My head started hurting. I thought about calling the police, but I see the notification of the carpool app with my own name giving me 1-star rating. Oh no! But the photo in the profile was that of the creepy guy. I couldn't believe what had transpired, how my life was taken away from me. Roanoke stops speaking now. I am feeling depressed. What if he is actually speaking the truth? How will he ever get his life back with no alibis or no one recognizing him? How is this even possible? I wouldn't know. This sounds like the ravings of a madman. You wouldn't believe this. Chirag, who was once my colleague, but no longer. In the time that this interview transpired, Chirag is no longer a cop, left, threw in his badge and his gun, but comes back, no longer a colleague. Comes in and questions me, "Do I know you?" Oh, okay, so that's why. I have no answers, but 100 more questions on what the hell had just happened. I couldn't believe what was transpiring, how my life is being taken away from me. He later drags me by my collar, and I fall off my chair in complete shock. He says, "We shouldn't entertain these fuckers, these bastards wearing our uniforms. Come on, Rajesh, let's fucking leave. It was your holiday, and yet you came in and tried to help this piece of shit." My mind hurts. I couldn't process what had happened to Roanoke. Was in fact him doing the same to me. I looked at my shirt's side pocket. I am still in police's uniform. The name tag reads Roanoke. Alright. I know what they were going for. Language barrier is an issue. That's my guess. Not a lot to say about it. Roanoke. Not, I get it. It's just the way it's written is so convoluted. So meh. I have to wonder if it makes more sense in the original language it was written in, or in the author's native language, I should say. All right, let's look for a new one. I guess I have to go to no sleep now. I guess I have to do that. You know what? Let's do. I'm gonna regret this. Let's do Rising. Rising with no recorded votes. That's kind of weird. I survived a horrible social experiment, but something drew me back to the lab. There we go. 872 votes. I play. Oh, this one. Ugh, fine, I'll look at it. This is too long. You have a lot of single sentences, like alone. Okay, I'll do this one. I played Never Have I Ever with my friends, but it turned into the worst night of my life. Now every time you play Never Have I Ever, you play it once and it's exciting, and then you play it again and you realize you already learned everything about your friends. Posted by Sam Haysom on No Sleep 3 hours ago. Never have I ever had a threesome. Jack had his glass raised before he'd even finished the sentence. He took a long, noisy gulp of beer, making sure both me and Jenny were watching. I didn't drink, just glanced over at Jenny and rolled my eyes. She shook her head in response. Jack, you haven't had a threesome. I fucking have. No, you haven't. There isn't even one girl on campus stupid enough to sleep with you, let alone two. Ouch. I'm hoping Jack is an asshole, because that's a mean thing to say. Jack put his pint down and grinned. Don't be jealous, Jenny. I'm sure you'll find someone soon. I can't be jealous of something that never happened, can I? Ask those two freshers if it never happened, if you're so sure. Oh, yeah? Those two, which two freshers? Oh, those two that he slept with. Okay. And where would I find them exactly? Just look for the two most satisfied girls on campus. But Jack picked up his pint and winked. They'll be more than happy to confirm the story. I snorted. Couldn't help myself. Jack might have been a prick, but he always made me laugh. He made Jenny laugh too, even if she didn't always like to show it. The three of us had been in a flat together in our first year of university, and by December we'd already signed up to share a house for our second year. We'd made the decision fast, giddy with the honeymoon stage of our new friendship. I've been there. Yeah. Getting college flashbacks right now. But now I wondered if we'd been a bit too quick. We still got on well and had a good laugh together, but I noticed Jack and Jenny starting to grate on each other lately, and their grating ended up grating on me. Where the title sounds spicy, but the story won't be. Yeah, you're probably right, Slime Beast. Looking at the frown on Jenny's face after Jack's last comment, I decided to intervene, calm things down before the night took a turn for the worse. Hang on a minute, mate. You can't drink on your own turn, can you? Surely that defeats the point of saying never have I ever. Jack looked back at me with wide, innocent eyes. Sure you can. I checked the rules. You checked the rules? Yeah, I googled them before we came out. There's no way you googled the rules of never have I ever before we... He's right, you know. The voice cut me off mid-flow. All three of us looked round at the same time. The girl standing next to our table wasn't anyone I recognized. She was short and blonde, with bright green eyes and half a smile on her face. I'd never seen her around before. Judging by the looks of confusion on Jack's and Jenny's faces, they didn't recognize her either. The three of us shared a quick, confused glance while the girl stood there. It was Jack who recovered first. You see, guys, I told you I'd look them up. He turned back to the blonde girl. Sorry, I don't think we've met before. I'm Jack, that's Max over there, and that rain of sunshine opposite me is Jenny. Jenny scowled. Are you... Jack glanced around the crowded bar, searching for the right words. Are you with anyone, or... No, I'm waiting. Later, I'd think back to that sentence, the oddness of it. Not, I'm waiting for my housemates, or I'm waiting for friends. Just, I'm waiting. But at the time, the thought didn't even cross my mind. I just assumed the girl was waiting for people she knew to arrive, and had overheard her conversation while passing by our table. I guess all of us assumed that. This paragraph should not be in here. Like, let that be fridge horror. Let us come back to this after whatever reveal happens and say, oh, she just said, I'm waiting, not I'm waiting for anyone in particular. This is telling. This is telling, and this is ruining it. before I'm even a third of the way through this. Son of a bitch. Why does this always happen? Well, feel free to wait with us and play a few rounds if you want, Jack was saying now. These two keep ganging up on me and I could use someone on my side. What did you say your name? Okay, thanks. I'll stick around for a while. Oh my god, this is Becky the human being. The girl smiled at Jack. She brushed a lock of blonde hair from her forehead as she took a seat opposite me. I saw Jack's grin widen. I am Jack's wide grin. I snuck a glance at Jenny and saw her sitting back in her seat, arms folded, face unreadable. You never have I ever is for like close friends. You don't just do that with random people. Am I wrong in that? Like, you could do never have I ever with randos, but it would be so tame and boring that what's the point? Whatever. Well, we're going round clockwise, and I just had my turn, said Jack, so I guess that means it's your go. Convenient. The blonde girl flickered her eyes from Jack to me, and then her face opened and ate us all. I felt a small shiver in my stomach. Go up my spine. When you have a shiver in your stomach. Her eyes were large and pixie-ish, an unusual shade of green. Oh no. Is it fairy? Is it fae folk? The poetry books I read for my English lit course would have had a lot to say about eyes like that, where I definitely got the idea for this story. I glanced down at my pint, suddenly a bit embarrassed. Hoping my face wasn't turning red, I was still staring at the table when the girl spoke. All this story makes me want to do is go have a pint in a proper English pub. Oh, man. Oh, it's been too long. Never have I ever woken up in an empty house. I looked back up, my embarrassment gone as quickly as it had come. Never have I ever woken up in an empty house. What was that about? Never have I ever might not have been the best drinking game at uni, but I'd yet to meet a student who hadn't played it before. Everyone had. It was the kind of time-killing game you played when you didn't have a pack of cards, or when everyone was too drunk to bother with them. And because we'd all played it, we all knew the unwritten rule. The stuff you said was always sexual. Yep. It was always something sex-related. The idea was to make a statement like Jack's, well, that's not the one. No, you want to do stuff that you guess that your friends have done if you're making a drinking game out of it. The idea was to make a statement like Jack's one about having had a threesome, then wait to see who drank. The people who drank were the ones who'd done it. We all know how this works. I cast my mind back, trying to think of a time I'd played when it hadn't been like that. I couldn't. Oh, sucker idolizing manic pixie dream girl. Did you write this, Slime Beast? Jack and Jenny's silence told me they couldn't either. I glanced quickly at both of them. Jenny's previously blank face now wore a slight frown, half confusion, half exasperation. I don't know if half confusion plus half exasperation equals frown, but whatever. That's physiological algebra. Jack just looked like a man whose bubble had burst. Huh? Like, this is confusing. This is confusing characterization and description. But being Jack, he was also the quickest to recover. He spun his glass slowly on the table and grinned across at Jenny, who had just taken a sip from hers. Don't try to tell me you're drinking, Jenny, he said. You've never even woken up in an empty bed, let alone a house. Fuck off, Jack. Chicks, bro. I took a gulp of my own drink, trying to pretend I hadn't heard the edge that had crept into Jenny's voice. Jack did the same. As I put my pint down, I stole another glass of the girl sitting opposite me. Her face was impossible to read. She had a drink in front of her that I hadn't noticed before, what looked like a gin and tonic. And she was prodding at the glass with her finger. If she had any idea she'd said something the rest of us found out, she didn't show it. The game continued. After a bit of coaxing, Jenny eventually had her turn, and then a few minutes later I had mine. Jack went to get another round of drinks, then came back and took his. And then it was the blonde girl's turn again. Wow, that was a long way of just saying we went around the table in turns. I guess it does establish that Jack got more drinks, but I just feel like there's a way. You already said the game continued. That's enough. I won't describe every single turn everyone took. If I'm honest, I can't remember them all. That was the point when the night began to slide away from me, to take that subtle turn that so many of our nights out did. drifting from pleasantly tipsy to suddenly far too drunk. Yeah, I do like that. I remember Jack saying something about shower sex that made everyone laugh. I remember downing a pint while the others chanted around me, banging the table in unison. Oh, they're playing slaps. I remember locking eyes with the blonde girl, catching her half smirk as she brushed her hair from her face. And I remember some of the things she said, some of her never have I evers. Those I do remember. Okay, pausing very briefly. This is a good premise. I'm not so sure I like its execution, but uncomfortable things being revealed via a game of Never Have I Ever is a good idea, as so many ideas are on No Sleep. While everyone else continued with the usual kind of shit, the blonde girl carried on saying weird stuff, kind of creepy stuff. Sometimes it produced awkward laughter, sometimes an awkward silence, sometimes Jack would make an innuendo. A couple of times Jenny rolled her eyes in a really obvious way, and once she pretty much burst out laughing as soon as the girl was done talking. But I never did. The girl's face remained blank whenever she spoke, and she never gave any hint that she realized she had said something odd. I began to feel a bit bad for her. So she is like an elf or something. But there was not denying the strangeness of the stuff she came out with. As well as I can remember, here's a few of her never have I evers. Never have I woken up from a nightmare I couldn't remember. Never have I ever been completely terrified without knowing why. Never have I ever refused to look in the bathroom mirror in case someone was standing behind me. Never have I ever forgotten the worst thing that ever happened to me. Never have I ever seen a shadow from the corner of my eye. By the time she came out with that last one, I was pretty far gone. I'd lost count of how long the game had been going on for and how much I drank. My head was spinning, my mouth felt dry, knees weak. The taste of tequila I couldn't remember drinking on my tongue. I looked down and saw cluttered shot glasses on the table in front of me, limes and spilled salt, at least 6 empty pints. I went to stand up, and my hip bashed the table's edges, causing the glasses to rattle. "Hole up, Max is tapping out," Jack's words slurred into each other. He grinned up at me and drained his pint. "Guess another round, mate." I edged past the back of his chair, saw Jenny sitting opposite Jack, her arms folded. Isn't it her turn to get around in? Jenny's eyes were wide and bloodshot from booze. She stared at Jack, unblinking, the anger in her face obvious. "She," said Jack, leaning over and gripping the hand of the blonde girl, "is drinking on me." Before I was clear, that doesn't count. The point is everyone gets rounds. So then, if that's the case, then our narrator wouldn't get her a drink. Anyway. Just looking at the chat really quick. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Before I was clear of the table, I made eye contact with the blonde girl one last time, her green eyes fixed on mine. She held my gaze for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she winked. As I stumbled away from the table into the crowded bar, I remember thinking it was strange that she only had that one gin and tonic in front of her. Asterisk? Meaning page break? Kind of weird. Voices, music, packed, jumbled bodies. The rest of that night is a jigsaw puzzle with pieces missing. When I think back to it now, I'm not sure what's real and what isn't. Oh, yeah, that's most of nights at uni. Which memories are true and which are false, conjured up by my own head to fill in the blanks. I have a memory of squeezing my way across a crowded dance floor. I have a memory of squeezing bodies across a crowded dance floor. The room spinning around me. Too many faces, too much light. Pounding bass, B-A-S-S, not B-A-S-E, music filling my head. I remember aiming for the bar, but ending up in the toilet. Crouched on all fours in a cubicle as I threw a burning tequila, my jeans damp from piss where I kneeled on the wet tiles. This is a bad bar. Don't go to places like this. They're not fun. Fun. Time passed. I don't know how much. The next memory I have is one of the dance floor. I was somewhere in the middle, clutching a slopping pint that kept spilling over my hand, dancing with random groups of people. Some of them cheered when they saw me, others turned away in disgust. I kept looking for familiar faces, for any sign of Jack or Jenny, but I couldn't see them. More time passed. The last clear memory I have from that night is one of the argument. Arguing with a group of strangers. I was swaying next to a table at the back of the bar, next to our table, and I was telling the people who sat there that they were in my seat. They were in all our seats, that me and my friends had been sitting there. The strangers looked confused and then annoyed, finally angry. One of the guys got in my face and told me to fuck off. I mumbled something, I can't remember, and turned away. For a split second, so fleeting I can't be sure it was real, I thought I saw Jenny. I thought I saw the back of her head. The crowd parted and I glimpsed her on the far side of the bar, heading towards the exit. Then the crowd shifted and someone blocked my view and I lost sight of her. Page break. I woke in the darkness of my bedroom, lurched out of sleep like a drowning man desperate for air. So, is everything that Manic Pixie Dream Girl said going to happen to our narrator now? Because we kind of left that whole scene, and now it's just, I got really drunk and woke up, and bad thing. I'd been dreaming, a dream in which I danced with Jack and Jenny in the bar, screaming along with the lyrics of some song, and now I felt disoriented, unsure what was real and what wasn't. I also felt awful. My brain felt like it had swollen in my skull. My head pounded. I could taste alcohol and bile in my mouth. My tongue was so dry I couldn't swallow, and my stomach was empty save for acid. I reached over to my bedside table, feeling for a glass of water, and found my phone instead. 3 a.m. The house was silent around me. I couldn't hear anyone downstairs, and couldn't remember how I got home. Right then, I didn't care. Right then, the only thing I wanted was for the pain in my head to go away. I slowly pushed myself up from the bed and swung my legs over the side, kept in the half crouch to try and ease my headache. A fist clenched on my stomach. Oh, are we going to have more vomit? I moved too fast and I throw up. I pushed back the duvet and hobbled to my little ensuite bathroom, planning to gulp some water straight from the tap. Click. I switched the small light on and winced at the brightness. Over my head, the extractor fan hummed to life. Keeping my eyes squinted, I crept over to the mirror above the sink. Is this going anywhere? Because now this is just what it's like to have a hangover, which could, you could just say I woke up with one fuck of a hangover. We don't really need all this description. It's not contributing anything to the story? Is it trying to like distract us from what's inevitably going to happen? Fuck, I looked awful. My hair stuck up in every direction and the skin of my face was ghost pale. My eyes were bloodshot. Knees weak, arms were heavy. I was still wearing the same clothes I'd been in last night. The collar of my shirt was crusted with something yellow, what I took to be vomit. Some neon pink drink had spilled down my front. Oh no. You got a vodka cran, didn't you? I reached out and turned on the tap, stared at myself as I waited for the water to go cold, tried to remember what had happened the previous night and how I'd gotten home. As I felt the water change in temperature, I lowered my head, drank from the stream like an animal, felt the cold liquid rush into my mouth, smoothing out the sandpaper of my tongue. When I finished, I'd splashed water on my face, turned the tap off, and wiped my eyes as I straightened up. Rabid Radioactive Raccoon says, I think it is trying to put us in the place of someone with a mantra. Yeah, no, totally. And this is an accurate description. It's just kind of going on for a while. Like, we get it. You're hungover. Oh no. The blonde girl was standing behind me. She was directly behind my right shoulder, staring at me in the mirror. I screamed, slipped as I tried to spin around on the spot, my foot skidding in a wet patch on the tiles. I went down hard on my left side. Shock and fear burned in my nerve endings. I scrambled up the floor, on the floor, scrambled? On the floor, twisting myself onto my back so I could get a look at the spot where she was standing. But there was nobody there. I stared around the bathroom, pulling in deep breaths, my heart pounding hard. She'd been there in the mirror. I'd seen her. This wasn't like one of my drunken memories that blended into a dream. She'd been in my bathroom. Be me, be bathroom. Be scared. But now the bathroom was empty. I forced myself up into a crouch and then into a standing position, crept slowly back into my dark bedroom. Nothing. Even after I'd switched the light on, banishing the shadows that lurked in the corners, there was nothing. My bedroom door was shut, and I knew I would have heard if someone had opened it. There was nobody in my room. Nobody had been in my room. I must have imagined it. Only I hadn't imagined it. I knew I hadn't. Half an hour passed before I forced myself to climb back into bed to try and get some more sleep. I tucked a hand below my pillow and felt the rustle of paper, a single crumpled sheet that had been stuffed beneath it. And then we're not going to know what that is. Are you saving that for later? Because you didn't earn that. Like, why are you mentioning this and not saying what's on there? Ugh. Page break. All that happened months ago now. Months since the game of Never Have I Ever, and months since I saw the girl in my bathroom. Months since I found the note below my pillow. When I look back on that night, I always ask myself what I could have done differently, whether I could have changed the outcome. There are lots of things I think about, lots of specific moments and memories, and that note is one of them. As ridiculous as it was, as unbelievable as it was, I still wonder if I should have given it to the police, if I should have handed it over. But when I start thinking like that, the thought that always comes back is this: they wouldn't have taken it seriously. Who would have? Even I didn't take it seriously. Not at first. I guess I thought it was some stupid joke when I found it. Just something Jack had written for a prank. 7 little words, scrawled on a torn piece of note paper, a line running through them as if the whole sentence had been crossed out. Never have I ever met a succubus. Oh. Uh. Request, can we look back at the girl's questions and see if they actually relate to the twist of what she was? Yeah. Never have I ever woken up from a nightmare I couldn't remember. Never have I ever been completely terrified without knowing why. Never have I ever refused to look in the bathroom mirror in case someone was standing behind me, so there's that one. Never have I ever forgotten the worst thing that ever happened to me. Never have I ever seen a shadow from the corner of my eye. None of this screams succubus. And also, succubuses sleep with you and steal your soul. This is a mismatch. This is not something a succubus does. At least not in popular understanding. And why would they leave you a note that says this? Like, what does that convey? We're being told, we're not being shown. Before I had a chance to give it a second thought, someone was banging on the front door of our house. Heavy, urgent knocks. I stuffed the note in my pocket of my jeans and went to answer it, thinking it might be my friends. But it wasn't. It was 2 police officers. I didn't believe them when they told me Jenny was dead. I couldn't. I heard their words, but they didn't make any sense to me. They didn't seem real. The officer said Jenny had been found in an alleyway behind the bar where we were drinking, lying behind a dumpster. An ambulance had been called, but she'd been pronounced dead at the scene. A heart attack, I found out later. A heart attack? That's also not what succubi do. Okay. They had some questions for me, and I guess I answered them. Questions about where we'd been, how much we'd been drinking, about who we'd been drinking with. I told them about the game and about Jack. I told them about the blonde girl that had joined us. They took some notes, told me they'd be in touch, and went on their way. It was only after they left that I remembered the piece of paper in my pocket. Page break. I still have it. I'm sitting in the bedroom of my parents' house right now, staring out the window, and I can feel the crinkle of it in my jeans. I usually keep the thing tucked in my wallet when I'm out, so it's with me wherever I go. A reminder. A reminder not to drink. Because you meet succubi, I guess? A reminder of what happened that night. A reminder of my friends. A reminder that no matter how many mysteries are uncovered in the world every day, and no matter how many crimes the police solve, there are just as many that they never do. Just as many questions that remain unanswered. Like the question of Jack. They never found him in the end. They looked everywhere and they interviewed people, but nothing came up. Just dead ends. You would be prime suspect number 1. Like, you would be held for questioning, I think, at that point. A few people in the bar confirmed that they'd seen him that night, but that was about it. The CCTV in the place hadn't been working. The owner said it had malfunctioned earlier that day. Did they have CCTV in the bar? It's usually like out in public spaces, whatever, and they've been waiting to get it fixed. There was one couple who claimed they'd seen him later on, though. They said they thought they'd spotted him a few streets away from the bar where we'd been drinking at about 2 a.m., walking in the direction of a large park near the city center, walking with a blonde girl. Okay, so why did Jenny die? Of a heart attack. But no matter how hard the police looked, they could never track the girl down. Jack hasn't been seen since. I still Google his name every now and again, though, just to check. As far as I know, the case is still active and the police are still looking for him, so I keep checking in just to see if anything new has come up, to see if there have been any updates on the search, but there never are. And if I'm really truly honest with myself, I don't think there ever will be. Meh. Meh. Eh. I mean, I'm just not wowed by it. It's not terrible. It's not written poorly. It's just kind of happens. And again, relatively speaking, that's pretty good for no sleep. And I'm not even going to look at the comments because I really don't care, because they're just going to say shit like, oh my god, I had no idea succubi were real. Did you ever try blank to find Jack? I agree with Kayla. The premise is not bad. I like the idea, but yeah, kind of. It's just meh. I like. I don't know, man. It's better than the Huntsville camping trip. I'll agree with that. At least it's shorter, I think. All right. Well, that's all for me. Been streaming for 2 hours. Voice is tired. So thank you everyone for coming out. I am going to do this again next Saturday. So that's the 4th, April 4th? Yeah, April 4th. So come on and join again for that if you want to. Feel free to bring suggestions so I don't spend so much time trying to find stuff. Preferably medium in length or short, not too long. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you, everybody. I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.